So I'm really pleased that HFT is now back making a surplus this year.
I think, all things considered, HFT have done brilliantly.
It has been a good year. It's been a tough year in terms of funding and in terms of recruitment.
I think the sector has been facing incredible financial constraints over the last few years.
And we still face a lot of challenges.
We've been incredibly busy dealing with national living wage sleep-ins,
Which really did dominate, and I think people were losing sleep over it.
We are seeing the work from the National Audit Office that shows that 84% of local authorities are still paying under the benchmark cost of care. And from our own survey, we're seeing that some 32% of providers are now making a loss.
At the same time, we just had to deliver business as usual.
I think we as an organisation have been able to retain our financial sustainability.
Services have managed to deliver some great results in some good areas.
And it's great to see that CQC talk about HFT as a podium position organisation in terms of quality.
So this was a huge effort from every member of staff to make sure that HFT was running tighter and better throughout the year and still delivering the great outcomes for the people we support.
The Care Quality Commission is our regulator. They're the organisation that looks at all our quality standards.
Throughout this year, I believe we've had some very good results in terms of the number of goods that we've had.
But actually now we want to move from good to outstanding.
One of the real highlights was achieving outstanding at our Morton-in-Marsh service, and only 2% of learning disability services are adjudged to be outstanding by CQC. We were absolutely delighted that Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal could join us in Morton-in-Marsh to celebrate achieving the outstanding, which I think just underlines how important we feel this is as a milestone.
That said, I think we have other services that probably are almost there. So we're doing a lot of work on our existing compliance system. The Fusion model has been the foundation.
I don't think it's something that you can sit back and suddenly say, so we're okay. Sometimes things are really challenging.
They're around both funding and around quality. And from time to time, we will find that things haven't gone as well as we'd expect or the people we support deserve.
And there are times when we've had to address concerns within our service to make sure that we give really good quality care.
We are always vigilant. We never take for granted the fact that we need to be on the ball the whole time when it comes to deliver really high quality, sustainable services.
For me, it's just going to get you comfy chair, mate.
Sleep-ins, I think, has been a black cloud over the whole sector, not just HFT.
Over the past 20 years or so, there's been an understanding between staff members, employers, funders and the law that time when someone's asleep is not considered working time for the purposes of national minimum wage legislation.
And then an employment tribunal a couple of years ago found differently.
And actually reinterpreted the law to say that actually time when staff members are asleep should attract minimum wage. In the last few months, we've seen that ruling overturned.
We had the Mencap Tribunal ruling, which ruled that sleep-ins weren't to be considered for national living wage.
Also, staff have been led to believe that they would get a back pay payment for a period of 6 years. So there's an element of disappointment because the government had led them to believe that was the case.
Even though local authorities had not paid us the amount that we would need to cover the back pay.
We have a lot of staff who have been receiving the money for sleep-in top-ups.
And local authorities are funding those, but technically they don't need to now. So we're lobbying hard because we feel it's unfair on staff members to have an increased pay and then have that taken away by local authorities.
I am passionate that staff should be paid well for the great work that they do.
We understand that there may be an appeal taken through the Supreme Court, so we're having to wait to see what will happen.
And so what we're doing is putting that money aside to make sure that we can cover any future liabilities.
We're in a very fortunate position at HFT in that we were able to use capital proceeds from the sale of land and buildings to fund any potential payment.
But it is really, really difficult. People are working as hard as they can to get this resolved, but at the moment it's sitting with the legal system.
Fusion Biz is really the articulation of a strategy that we had in HFT over the last few years, and that's to become a caring performance culture.
It says these are all the parts of our business that we have to get right to be a financially sustainable organisation.
So the caring bit is already taken care of within the Fusion model of support, and the performance element of that is now expressed as Fusion Biz.
That we do things in the best way and we use the best processes, the best systems to deliver great outcomes.
The roadshows were a great success.
Apart from being great fun, I think everybody pictorially got the concept of Fusion Business.
And we started with a business model quiz, talking to staff about the business models of organisations that they would encounter every day.
I think in the roadshows we managed to prove to people that business models are something we all understand.
And how much they actually get, that if we can save money, we could use it differently and we could do things better.
And we also made it quite good fun for them as well.
And then what we did was we explored together where we had what we call value leakage, the leaky pipe.
We had a huge big poster and it was a picture of a leaky pipe, and what we did, we gave staff little post-its in the shape of band-aids.
Where were the places where we didn't do things well, where we were losing value, where they could see things happening day in, day out?
And the idea was to write on what their ideas were and then go fix the leaks on the pipes.
Every single one of those roadshows generated a huge number of ideas
of how we could do things better and smarter. And these are now being incorporated into an action plan which we're going to take forward to make sure that we really do capture all the value that we can within HFT.
It'll give us real insights. One of the things that we're doing nationally is introducing new systems to enable us to measure more closely, to have much more transparent information. And that's something we haven't had in the past.
Because HFT is a charity, the surpluses we make are ours to decide what to do with. Do we reinvest it in new services? Can we invest it into staff? Can we invest it into improving the services we've got? Now, our chair, Judith Jolly, and we're saying, there's a key cog missing, which is governance.
Wrapping up the way the council works in the same sort of value set as Fusion and Fusion Biz.
So how does governance drive forward Fusion and Fusion Biz?
It's off the drawing board, but it's absolutely not yet quite implemented.
So Fusion Gov is still new, and we are just finalising it as a model, and then we will roll it out, but showing it very clearly meshed in with Fusion and Fusion Biz. So this year we were delighted to welcome Verna White onto the trustee board. Verna has a family member with HFT, and I think has been on quite a journey, both in terms of the transition from children to adult services and in the move from one of our older established services to a modern service really within the heart of the community where their family member now lives.
HFT is in my heart. It's something that I really care about and believe in. I guess that as a father of a 29-year-old son who has autism, who HFT support for nearly 7 years now, and he came from a supported living environment previously which had failed, so he was in crisis. From an overall perspective, the quality of his life has improved significantly through his time with HFT.
I think there have been significant challenges around recruitment within HFT over the last few years.
All organisations are seeing that the recruitment market is becoming really tight.
There is very little money in the sector.
And over the past year we have seen the impact of the national living wage coming in, of greater competition. We are seeing issues with recruitment.
You can't always pay people more. As much as a social care provider, we'd love to pay people much higher salaries. We are very dictated about the salaries we can pay people by what local authorities pay us for the support that we give.
The challenge of getting staff who've got the right value base, who want to make a difference, who share the values and principles of our organisation is really, really important.
That there's a real desire and a recognition among staff of the need to recruit.
So when we go out to the market, when we advertise roles, when we talk to people about coming to work for us, that we are able to get across the essence of working for HFT.
Also, they recognise the impact it has on the people we support where there might be vacancies in particular services.
And it's crucial that we look at innovative ways that we can reward staff and give them the learning and development opportunities so that they will choose HFT as that employer.
Once a year we get the opportunity to celebrate some of the amazing work that goes on within services.
Fusion Awards is nothing but an amazing concept.
So we've been doing this for the last 5 years now.
Staff from right across HFT can be acknowledged and rewarded
and celebrates really, really great practice of our staff linked to the Fusion model of support.
And then this year we're having a Fusion Biz Award. We also have a Volunteer of the Year and a Fundraiser of the Year award.
But it is genuinely humbling. You know, you go through some of the stories. They're often about how lives have been changed for people we support or for family members.
I have to confess that I usually end up trying to wipe away a tear on those evenings because it's just truly amazing some of the things that our staff actually do for people we support.
People get dressed up, we have a nice dinner, and then we award the winners.
And it's a glitz and glam evening where we just say thank you to staff.
It is just like the Oscars. It really is just like the Oscars.
I get to chair the judging panel, which is one of the best bits of my job.
I mean, I had a lump in my throat, you know, some of the descriptions of some of the work that had been done.
There's a team of people from across the organisation will come together and assess applications that have been made.
And the great thing was it just showed the amount of commitment and energy that there is out there in HFT across all areas.
Takes you back to why you work for HFT, really. It reminds you that we're here to support people and that we do it in an amazing way.
Even in this time of austerity, we were still keen that we wanted to do an excellent event, an event that was a bit different. So to actually help us with the funding, we had sponsors this year that part funded it.
So a kind of a big thank you to Ashley House PLC and to TLT Solicitors, who both sponsored a segment.
And the St Austell's Friends Group,
who sponsored the photo booth for the evening, which went down very well.
We are incredibly grateful because although maybe it doesn't sound like one of the most critical things that we need, it's the one occasion we get to actually say thank you.
So one great example of an award was to Mick Hilliam, who was Volunteer of the Year.
For all the work he's put into the Special Olympics over the years.
Mick's worked for us for over 30 years as a support worker over in Leicestershire, but in his own time he volunteers and he helps people with learning disabilities take part in sports.
It was really nice to see not only the award that he achieved, but that he was then nominated to attend a garden party in Buckingham Palace.
So I think that just shows someone who has committed so much of his life to HFT and to the people that we support.
It's 11:01 a.m.
I know it's been a really challenging year for many staff across HFT.
Although it's been difficult, the teams have continued to develop excellence, to push for growth.
The way that people strive to make a difference, the way that people look for innovative solutions to problems, I think that's part of the culture of what we do in HFT.
And I think the achievements that we've made in still being able to deliver great services, in having a great year, is down to those staff who work so hard every day to be able to achieve that.
The time is 12.
Other success stories for this year, apart from great service delivery, is other streams of income where we haven't necessarily seen them before. So personalised technology is a big success story for us this year. They've gone from being a funded charity project to a partially self-funded enterprise.
If you've got something good, what do? You sell it, so you promote it. And that's a brilliant form of income.
Historically, HFT services have been based in England, and for the first time this year we have an international service. We've opened a service in Wales. This is actually working very closely with Flintshire Local Authority, where they have outsourced all their day services.
And that's been a fantastic opportunity to work with in another area of the country and bring our expertise and build upon the things that Flintshire were already doing well, but we can hopefully bring some additionality to get some really good outcomes for people.
And we have worked very closely with them to develop a really good service that I think will go from strength to strength over the coming years.
Is it tea you wanted?
Yes.
There we go then.
Walk in Our Shoes is the first campaign that HFT has done for the people we support, that's run by the people we support.
The government thinks that's just a learning person who's got a disability. Don't want to listen to him.
They came to me after Geneva and said that they felt that Voices to be Heard was ready to have a campaign of its own.
And they actually thought that somebody should really understand what it's like to be somebody with a learning disability.
So Walk in Our Shoes is to try and get Denise and May to listen to our voice with a learning disability and physical learning disability.
This is based around two things. Theresa May's love of fancy footwear, but also the idea of walking in someone's shoes to understand what life is like for them.
I said, please listen to us, because we don't get a say.
So we photographed the people we support with their favourite pair of shoes.
The shoes I chose is one of my favourite pairs.
We got them to say why it's their favourite pair of shoes, a little bit about themselves, and what their biggest concern is as somebody living with learning disabilities in the UK today.
You know, say about the disability toilets, because they're closing them all down quite a lot right across the country.
So we had people talking about things like social care funding cuts, Brexit, all the way through to things like access to healthcare.
This was fantastic, and in fact they ended up presenting a pair of special shoes to Theresa May in 10 Downing Street.
And I was lucky enough, because I was actually in London, so I was able to go to the end of Downing Street and watch the people we support go up to number 10, hand over the shoes themselves.
And then we knocked on the door, handed a petition over to the secretary.
And that resulted in a thank you letter from Theresa May about a month later, and we're all waiting to see if she wears them.
I'd been checking the telly every day and to see if she got them on or not.
And we created a thunderclap, which actually reached about 70,000 people.
There was a lot of coverage in sort of the regional press where Henry and Becky lived, as well as an article that the three of us co-wrote on The Guardian.
We actually got to talk to the Disability Minister, and they're looking to bring forward a law that would make sure that accessible toilets were in place.
So this is something that we're really very proud of at HFT. We've even taken to calling it Henry's Law, which unfortunately it's not called in real life, but I think that just goes to show the impact that people in Voices to be Heard are having in policy in the UK.
So involving the people we support in making decisions about their lives and to be able to campaign about the things that are important to them is something that we are really focusing on in HFT.
We believe that actually we need a full-time support for them, and so this year we've invested and we have Amy Gordon.
My role is a kind of expanded role from before, so it's to oversee involvement across the whole of HFT.
So Amy's only been with us a few months, but already making big changes.
We've already got some really great stuff happening to involve people. The key priorities are making sure that people can continue to be involved in their own support.
So it's an opportunity for our organisation to learn about itself from those people who are the true experts around what services should be.
Making sure that as an organisation we are listening hard to the voice of the people we support.
We're very proud of the progress we've been making with our charitable services, and it was great to have the opportunity to celebrate this with Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal at an event at the House of Lords, where we talked about the way forward with our charitable services.
It actually showcased things like the Family Carers Support Service,
who have played such an important role in ensuring that families and carers receive the help that they need.
Who this year has spent time actually developing case materials for families around the really sensitive issue about what happens when parents aren't around anymore. So not an easy topic, but an important one to tackle.
They've also been doing work on how to help carers find their way through the maze of the Care Act, which is complicated, and actually I think that was very helpful for so many carers.
And also it was an opportunity to look at how we support volunteers and what a difference volunteers can make to the things that we try to achieve for the people with learning disabilities.
Do you want more yogurts? I want more yogurts. You like your yogurts?
Looking forward, I don't see that the environment in which we operate is going to get any easier. However, I do think that with great staff teams and with Fusion Biz and Fusion Gov in place, we're going to be able to deliver outstanding outcomes for those we support in a financially sustainable way going forward. And I think actually for an organisation like HFT, there's some really exciting prospects about the things that we can do for more people with learning disability right across the country.